Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about multiple upcoming winter storms that could bring a lot of flooding, severe weather, and even possibly some snow as well. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below, and then also our very awesome channel membership that you can check out next to that subscribe button. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think we're going to have any major severe weather events throughout the month of March? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Anyway, let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at our European model, and this is actually at about maybe 1 AM tomorrow from the time I'm making this video, Sunday. As you can see, just generally a very quiet pattern. We have very few areas of precipitation. There's a little bit of storminess potentially for Florida, and then also some snow and rain showers for the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. But it is very, very minimal. So we are in an extremely quiet pattern right now. But as we move towards about Wednesday, March 10th, you can see that's about to change because we have a bit of some snowfall going on, first off for California, but then also for portions of the Rockies there, especially in Colorado, Wyoming, and then even in through South Dakota and Nebraska as well. So that's going to be potentially a winter storm going on of the middle portion of next week. And by the time we reach about Thursday at 1 AM, you can see that quickly moves up into the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, kind of minimally coming to an end, but we do have some rain, even some flooding rain and possibly severe weather for areas like Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois. We're going to be watching for that very closely as we get closer and closer to that event. Anyways, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to get a little bit closer to our next winter storm. We're going to get into a little bit more of a quiet pattern again, but then another one is going to eventually come through. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. Now, here we are by about Friday at approximately 6 AM or so there on March 12th. And as you can see, there is some general storminess going on there from Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way up through into the Northeast and the New England states as well up there. As you can see, some very stormy conditions up there. Let's just take this to approximately 1 or 2 AM there on Saturday, March 13th, and we're getting kind of into the longer range here, so start to take it with a little bit more of a grain of salt. We do see some snowy conditions going on there for California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona as well, but we also have a pretty good trough over the eastern United States as well that is bringing some snow showers for multiple regions there. By the time we're reaching about 1 PM there on Saturday, you can see a major winter storm begins to develop over the south, central, and four corner states of the United States. And as you can see, some snowfall for Arizona, Utah, Colorado, even in through New Mexico as well, and even northern Texas there, and then extreme western Oklahoma as well. Some very heavy snowfalls coming down with that, but also some rainstorms, possibly even some severe thunderstorms there for portions of Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma as well. Obviously, again, this is very long range, and I've mentioned before that severe weather is one of the hardest ones to predict in the long range, so we're not even going to really try to speculate too much on that. But what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards where there's going to move further north and further east, and we're going to begin to see it become a very major snowstorm. Now, this is by the time we're taking a look at about 1 AM there on Sunday, March 14th. And as you can see, Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas mostly by this point seeing some very heavy snowfall. And then also some significant thunderstorms and rainfall going on for portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and eastern Kansas as well there. Also notice we do have some snowfall going on for the eastern United States as we have a very strong but smaller trough going on over there as well. And by the time we're reaching about 1 PM there on Sunday, you can see that that major snowstorm is now moving up in through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri as a 999 millibar low pressure center. This is a very realistic storm for this time of year. We see these types of storm tracks very early in the season, like let's say October, November timeframe, but also very late in the season, like March and April. It's not uncommon to see storm tracks like this occur, so I would not be surprised if we see something similar to this, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's very different than this, just given the fact that this is so far out at this point. We're talking about some very long-range things. We have been for a few days now, so you're going to want to take a lot of this with a grain of salt, especially the fine details here. But I would not be surprised either if there is some sort of severe weather event during this time frame with a lot of that Gulf energy. You can almost picture it here for the Texas coast in through Louisiana heading up north there. You can just visualize it there heading up north with a lot of that warmth and the cold air behind it. That could be a quite significant severe weather event if it does play out that way. 1 AM there on Monday, we see that there is still some major snowfall coming down for Minnesota now, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, still Nebraska and Kansas there. I think it's a 992 millibar low pressure center by that point, so it is intensifying quite rapidly there. We still see those very potent storms moving through Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky as well, where, again, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some severe weather. And then basically by the time we're reaching about 1 p.m. on Monday, we've reached the end of the model run, so we can't really go any further than this, but there is still some snowy conditions for many regions still from this snowstorm, but also some stormy conditions down there in the southeast as well. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at what the GFS model has to say, and let me tell you, it's quite different. So first things first, we're taking a look at about maybe 6 a.m. there on Tuesday, March 9th. And as you can see, it's very quiet. Just like the European model, for the next few days, it's going to be quite quiet. We do see some snowfall there for the Rockies, just like the European model. But outside of that, it's very, very quiet and hardly anything to even discuss here at this point, outside of it just being so quiet. But by the time we're reaching about 6 a.m. on a Wednesday, we see that snowfall going on for the Rockies and in through California as well, with a 998 millibar low pressure center developing there over Nebraska with some storminess to its east. Not a lot of cold air to work with, but we do end up, by the time we're reaching about maybe 11 p.m. there on Wednesday, seeing some quite good snowfall there for a lot of Minnesota, in Wisconsin as well, with the Four Corner States seeing some snowfall as well from this system. Now, as we move towards approximately 3 p.m. there on Friday, March 12th, you can see that very major snowstorm begins to develop there for Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. It's a lot flatter on this model, though, as you notice. It's a lot more just moving kind of from west to east instead of more south to north like the European model was wanting to show. And by the time we're reaching about 1 p.m. there on Saturday, you can see there is still some snowfall going on there for the plains with some of that more storminess down to the south where there could be severe weather. So this model actually agrees quite a lot. And by the time we're reaching about maybe 5 or 6 a.m. there on Sunday, it's a lot of the same. Still some very heavy snowfall going on the very western front of that storm. Even some freezing rain being indicated by those pinks, but that line of green there that you see basically from Louisiana up through Mississippi and then along the borders of Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. I think there could be some severe weather during this time frame for some of those regions there. Then by the time we're reaching about maybe 7 p.m. here on Sunday, you can see that there is still some snowfall there for the upper Midwest, and that storminess is making its way further east, but that is generally coming to an end, and by the time we're reaching maybe 11 p.m. there on Monday, it actually is. There is another snowstorm that begins for the central United States, the plains there. And then we kind of enter into a quieter pattern again with some rainfall down there for the Gulf states in the southeast there by the time we're reaching maybe about 6 a.m. there on Wednesday. But really, it's generally heading back and towards a quieter pattern. But by the time we're taking a look at about 7 p.m. there on Friday, that's going to be Friday the 19th. So we're taking a look at the very, very far range. Take this with a major grain of salt. But we do kind of return to a more stormy pattern with cold in the west, warm in the east. That seems to be the trend with these models through the medium to long range. That's what we're going to be taking a look at mostly. Trends, not really trying to take a look too much at the fine details, but the trends of what they are showing. And then we can see that that actually does develop a pretty major winter storm again around 1 p.m. on Saturday. And it is trending at that, but we don't want to pay too much attention to those fine details. That does move up into the upper Midwest from south to north. We see a very similar storm track over and over and over again on these two models through the medium to long range. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the total snowfall according to both of these models, and then the total rainfall, and then we're going to close out the video. Now, this is the total snowfall through the entire model run here, and you're not going to want to pay too much attention to those locations or exact amounts, but we want to pay more attention to what this is trending at. And you can see those heavier amounts are located over Colorado and most of the plains up through Iowa. So I think that it could be a place where we could see a lot of these storms roll through and bring a lot of snowfall to plains. If you watched those simulated radars we just took a look at, it was quite obvious that that looks to be the area most impacted up through Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's been consistent. Also, the mountainous regions out west, all of those mountains are basically seeing some snowfall as well. So that's the trend here. Our total precipitation, the European model does not have a lot compared to the GFS. We'll take a look at the GFS in a moment though. But for those yellows and oranges and reds showing up, that's where we're at about 1 inch to maybe 3 inches of rainfall going on. So a lot of the eastern half of the United States will be seeing those rain amounts upwards of over 1 inch, which would lead to obviously some flooding concerns at that point. Now, the GFS model here on its total snowfall through the entire model run, which this one actually goes a lot further, is it has less snowfall for those plains, mostly just basically less snowfall for the eastern half of the United States than that European model called for. But out west for all of the mountainous regions, we're seeing tons and tons of snowfall. And also up through a lot of the upper Midwest there, you can see there is a lot of that snowfall, those pinks and purples showing up. That is mostly associated with these upcoming potential winter storms that we took a look at today. Anyway, for that rainfall, real quickly to close out the video, for the GFS model, you can see it is a ton more. We have a lot of those reds and browns showing up, which is about 3 to 8 inches of rainfall for a lot of these regions, which would almost certainly cause some flooding concerns. So over the next, I would say, 15 days or so, it looks like we could be dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rainfall going on for all of these red and brown regions, especially those brown regions. But since it is a longer range outlook, we don't want to pay too much attention to those fine details. Anyway, for our confidence tab, we're at a 3 out of 6, so we're a little bit more confident in this than we have been in the past few days. Still around 50-50. There is a lot of things that we talked about in today's video that are very long range, that are less likely to happen, but there's also some things we talked about that are more likely to happen in the shorter range time frame. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this upcoming March, or the rest of March at least, because we're already in March, do you think it's going to be more of like an extension of winter and be more of a wintertime month, or do you think it's going to be an early start to spring? And ACCA said it'll be more of a combination of both, and I agree. It looks like we're going to have some colder times and some warmer times for both the western and the eastern United States, but overall, for the eastern United States, it actually looks a little bit warmer, and out west, a little bit colder. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Balemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Mark J., Luke Falago, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this Patronette screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.